Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering conversations, have exclusive and inspirational interviews, and host special events. Join Tammy, some call her Butterfly, and explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, The Butterfly. It's time, no matter what.
All right, you guys, come on in to the barbecue, Daily Motivations for African American Success, where we've been rocking with you for, 292 days, I think, 2 years. So, feed the ducks. If you've been here, you know what we do, how we do it. You got to come in, feed those ducks. We ask that question, pimping wearing you, or you wearing the pimping? Or are you feeding the ducks? Are the ducks feeding you? You ready, Brandon? I see you moving over there.
How you doing?
What's
I'm
up?
getting set up. There you go.
Hey, come on, y'all. This is how we do it. It's Monday. We feeling happy.
Good morning.
How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing good.
All right, so we got Auntie Richetta in the house first thing this morning. So good morning, Auntie Richetta. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Daily Motivations for African American Success. So Brandon, how was your yesterday? Miss Brenda says, great everything, everyone. Happy Monday.
Yesterday was good for me. I got some good rest. Got some stuff done around the house. Grilled some chicken at the end of the day. So I had a good day.
Yeah.
Went and spent some time with my grandma. So that was good. How about you?
Had your babies? We had fun. I have to share. Good morning, Big Mike. Welcome to Daily Motivations for African American Success on In This Season podcast. Y'all, ask y'all, what season are you in this morning? But Brandon, to answer your question, I had a grand time with the babies yesterday. I got to share this story because even as Zolly was planning to go home, y'all remember yesterday's show about the drops? She was still wanting to do the drops. She wanted to see how long it would take to fill a cup with just a little drop at a time, to the point where a couple of times yesterday she went in the bathroom and trying to just turn the faucet on to just drop a little water in the faucet to see how much water would accumulate. So she was listening yesterday as I was reading. And after the show, y'all, you saw her come around and say, bye. Brandon, did you catch that?
I did.
Yeah, she just walked around and said, bye. So, and then she was like, why didn't Daddy do it? You did it by yourself. All these little questions from her little mind. So she walked up and she was looking in my book and she started pointing out words, Brandon, from the passage. So I read it to her again, which brought on, Grandma, let's do it. Let's see how long it takes. Let's see how many drops. Which, you guys, I'm going to try it with her. Of course, it's going to take forever and we probably won't make it through on that one time. But I can put the cup aside. But guess what? It's patience. It allows her to see that you have to keep at it. It's math. So, it's so rich to me. But it was so awesome to just know that when she was listening. I read it again and she got it. Like, hey, let's try that. So Brandon, man, it was a blessing to be with the babies, and I just enjoyed them so much. So I had a good weekend with grandbabies. Man, I told Tupac as he was getting ready to leave last night, I said, you sure know how to make a grandma feel loved. I mean, he was just, Grandma, I love you, and just kept kissing me like that. And it was just like, I was like, oh, you sure know how to make a grandma feel loved. So my day, you without your kids, I got your kids, and that's a wonderful time for me.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad they enjoyed it. Seems like
Yeah,
y'all both benefited from it.
we did. And my
But
mom
look,
came over. My mom
she
came
told
over
me.
that morning and she hung out with us. We went, did a little shopping. Um, it was interesting to see the kids pick out. They got to pick one toy. Um, and y'all, we bought the Operation and played the Operation game. Do y'all remember the Operation game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. My mom was like, I don't remember that game. And I'm like, I don't know how you didn't because, the nose, when it goes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we just had a good time, y'all. Just had a good time. I hope y'all had a great time too. So, Brandon, let's get in it so we can get out of it. And so I can get going and you can get going and we could let these beautiful people do the same.
Sounds good. Well, welcome everybody to the In This Season podcast show where we have been reading through the book Daily Motivations for African American Success. Go get the book if you haven't already. If you haven't already, what you doing? You coming here and getting all this goodness, but they ain't even got the book. So please go support this Black author, um, and thank him if you can. If anybody who knows him, let's try to get him on the show. Let's see if we can get him on the show. But a little bit more about this book. Mine is all tethered. I don't know if I can see it right there. But Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. What it teaches will last you a lifetime. So let's jump into it today. Today is November the 18th. And our title is Something for Nothing. Something for Nothing. And T.M. Alexander, the entrepreneur, gives us our quote today, who says, "Poor is the man who only possesses money." Poor is the man who only possesses money. How much money can you accept? It seems like a loaded question. This acceptance seems to be determined by our own consciousness. Most of us know people who are well off or even financially independent, as well as those who struggle to get by. What's the difference? If a man with virtually nothing is given a large sum of money, it won't be very long before he has nothing again. So many think
Mm.
if they could just get their hands on a bundle of cash, their troubles would be over. They would pay their bills, get out of debt, and have a chance at a new beginning. If you believe in this idea, you might want to consider the following survey. Several years ago, a poll was taken on a number of big money winners who had landed their fortunes either through the lottery or as a result of television game shows. The majority of those who had won $100,000 or more were nearly penniless 5 years after winning their earnings, or 5 years after their winnings. Their standard of living did not increase. Their lifestyles were the same as before. They had apparently taken the bonanza and squandered it away with no thought of investing. Merely having money does not raise your consciousness about what to do with it. If you were to take all the people on the planet and give each an equal amount of money, within days you would see some rich and some poor. Take money away from an Earl Graves or a John Johnson today, and tomorrow each would be a millionaire. You are not rich because you have money. You have money because you believe you are rich. I'll say that again. You are not rich because you have money. You have money because you believe that you are rich. Our affirmation for today is today I will develop a consciousness of wealth, abundance, and prosperity. I realize that believing is half the battle. Again, today I will develop a consciousness of wealth, abundance, and prosperity. I realize that believing is half the battle. All right, over to you, Mom.
All right, Brandon. So a couple of words to pay, well, one in particular word to pay attention to here. Merely having money does not raise your consciousness. And if you've been here, you remember us talking about subconscious mind. So I'm going to start us out with this subconscious living. Subconscious living refers to acting largely based on ingrained patterns, beliefs, and memories stored in the subconscious mind, often without active awareness, while conscious living means actively choosing your thoughts, your actions, and behaviors with full awareness of your motivations and choices in the present moment. I'm going to read it one more time. Subconscious living, right? Subconscious living, which is basically controlled. Brandon says that you're either a mind. Talk about it, Brandon. You're either about your
Was it
mind.
some of the Joe Dispenza
Yeah.
quote? It's either a map of
Yeah.
your mind is either a map of the past or a memory of the past or a map of the future.
Right. So choose one, right? Subconscious
Right.
living refers to acting largely based on ingrained patterns, beliefs, and memories stored. So when it says stored, it means from your past, not from your now or your future. Stored in the subconscious mind, often without active awareness, which means you're on autopilot mode. You're just driving the same speed. And soon, because sooner or later, if your car never slows down when you're on cruise control, right? Because you're going to come up against something or somebody, another car, right? And if it does not stop, you're going to crash. If you're not aware, right, you're going to crash. Versus conscious living means actively choosing your thoughts, actions, and behaviors with full awareness, full aware of your motivations, your choices that are in the present moment, a roadmap to your future, essentially living, right, on autopilot versus living with deliberate intention, is what it says. So I'm going to ask you to reverse this. Let's say we're not talking about money, right? A large amount of love, right? Think about relationships, new people, new things in our lives. You get that new car, man, those new rims for a moment. That baby gonna be shining right, bright, light, whatever, right? But after a while, you don't do it as much. That new relationship. So I'm saying a large amount of anything. Money, love, grace. It's about you. How much money can you accept? How much love can the representative accept before he or she goes back to what they know? This ain't real. He can't be real. She can't be real. So take money out of the situation. And it says, that seems like a loaded question. This acceptance seems to be determined by our own consciousness, right? We know people who are well off. We know people who are struggling. You want to know why the son or daughter of a well-to-do family remains rich or always seem to attract money? Because that's where they come from. That's what they know. That's what they believe, right? Even then, though, there may be some areas in their life where they live from the subconscious mind, because people with money have problems as well. And I don't know what day it was, but we talked about how poor people have this thing about being poor. Some rich kids or rich kids that come from rich families have this thing about coming from there, because most of them feel like all my parents offered me was money. So it truly is about you, your acceptance, your subconscious or conscious living. And no matter what, like I said, we can take money out of it, put love, forgiveness, unforgiveness, you know, and measure this up to your life. And I'll turn it over to you, Brandon, after this. If there's any power that can reverse the fortunes of race, and I'm beginning to see this a little bit different as we read on, because we enslave ourselves. I'll say that. We are racist against ourselves. So if it's anything can reverse the fortunes of that, writes Dennis Kimbro, is that you got to take captive every thought which enters your mind. You got to be mindful, intentional of every word you utter from your mouth, every deed you perform that comes from those thoughts, what you say. Because it makes its impression on the innermost fiber of your being. Right? And so while you're walking around here judging people, looking at other people's lives, measuring what they are doing, a few days ago, I said, don't judge me because on the scale, we weigh the same. And I said for y'all to let it ponder. This came to my mind yesterday again, because many of you probably think, what does she mean by that? On the scale, on God's scale, we weigh the same. Because truth be told, we are not perfect people, right? But we can choose to live a conscious life, one that starts with God, right? That is about God during the day, that ends with God, and even while you are sleeping. Because that is the only way that you can successfully be ready to accept anything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything, right? And I'll say it, how you do anything is how you do everything. How you love you is how you love me. The grace you have for yourself is the grace that you will have for me. And if it's up and down, you're going to be up and down with me. You're going to be on the fence with you. You're going to be on the fence with me. The minute I do something or say something that you don't like or that rubs you the wrong way, you can't accept that. So off you go. Right? So y'all, something for nothing. Something, let that simmer. Something for nothing. To me, just means whatever that something is, it's for nothing, because until you change, renew your mind, become conscious, and decide, choose your thoughts and actions, it's all for nothing. It's going to end up right back, or you are going to end up right back where you were. Right? So over to you, Brent.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate that, and appreciate those insights. I think a lot of people needed to hear that. I like the title of this, Something for Nothing, like you said. So I'll start where you ended. We do a lot for money, right? We do a lot of things, not some things, but we do a lot of things. Some people, money is their Lord. They do all things for money. And money at the end of the day is nothing for what it, we like what money can buy us, right? But truth be told, like you say, Mom, money is made out of cotton. Interestingly enough, our relationship as African Americans in the Old South to cotton, still laboring under this cotton or for this cotton. Mm-hmm. Either we were struggling to pick it, or at least our ancestors back then for the cash crop that largely made, that and tobacco, which made America wealthy. But we gained nothing from that, right? So we put in a whole lot of something and got nothing. And so now we're putting in a whole lot of work and we're receiving the cotton, but it's still nothing. The other side, some people would say the other side of the coin, or just what seems like a symbolic victory. Now we're able to make money, right? People able to win hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars with the lottery, only to have nothing, or to be in the same position years later, just a few years later, or a couple months later. I think it said, they were penniless 5 years after their winnings, because they never changed the habits. They never changed what they were doing. Excuse me. They never changed what they were doing that produced the results that they had. So when an exception to the rule happened, right, the rule went back in place. The exception was them having a large sum of money come in at one time, but they had no idea how to budget that. When some years back, over 10 years ago, when I was doing, like corporate and even Canvas fundraising for Red Cross, Amnesty International, a couple other organizations, one of the things that we would say to people is that, and to these corporate donors is, every year we get a big sum of check. These nonprofit organizations get a big check from everyone. They get a surplus of money that comes in. And by the time the next year comes, before that date, the company is drained. All the coffers are drained. Why? Because a large sum of money comes in at the end of the year, or so everyone can manage their taxes with the upcoming year and filing their tax returns. But the Red Cross or Amnesty International now has this big sum of money and so many fires to put out, so many things to do now because of the bad habits that were created and lingering, and the maintenance on their financial house that had been deferred and deferred and deferred because of habits or situation, which is usually a mix of both, to where when they do get this large sum of money, it's already spent before they really have it, right? And I know a lot of people experience that same thing. You're making money to pay the bills, right? There's no living, there's no enjoyment, there's no there's no standard of the leisure, right? I love the podcast called Earn Your Leisure. Some African American brothers that speak about earning your leisure, that we're trading time for money only to buy back our time, right? We're trading our time for money in order to buy back our time. Now, when does that investment become well? When does that investment, make a return? Because if you give 8 hours of your day, how many hours did you get back from your work? If you work for 8 hours and then you get 15 hours of your time back in life, then you might be able to call that a good trade. But what often happens is people go to work and they lose their time until the next day and they go to work again. And pretty soon you're pushing to get the money in our current state. It's just for the money, just to pay the bills, and you feel like you're in a hamster wheel and you can't get out. Whereas I think the first thing we should do is focus on our own internal habits. Where's the money going? When you get the money, do you just want to spend it? And we have to check, because we can say that we don't, right? Remember, we said this a couple months ago, that people don't want to, make $1 million. They want to spend $1 million. And I would say people don't want to earn $1 million. They want to spend $1 million. So they already have what they'll buy with that $1 million if they had it. The first thing they think of, man, if I had $1 million, I would, no one says invest. I would buy this, something that's shiny. I would go get that. I would get somebody they love. I would go buy my mama this, right? Which is a good thing. But I look at Mike Tyson, for example, right? I don't know if you guys noticed or saw this past weekend, but on Friday he fought Jake Paul, a YouTuber. A man that was a YouTuber became famous with his antics and things. And he and his brother, built a mass followings, got more involved in sports and calling people out. And it just seemed kind of like things like this would never happen. They would be fighting these top-notch athletes. And to a degree, we all know it's a show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To a degree, we know that it's all, it's all a spectacle, right? I don't think these guys were really watching. I think it's a glorified sparring match. I felt like both of them were pulling punches. But here's the thing. Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion to ever live. I believe he became world champion at 20 years old, 19 or 20 years old. And Jake Paul, who hasn't really, until late, with these types of spectacle fights, hadn't done anything in the sport. But Jake Paul, and I guess his promotion, made $40 million on
Oh, for
that fight.
y'all.
Exactly. And guess how much, and guess why most people came to that fight? Because Mike Tyson was fighting. Jake Paul was fighting Iron Mike. And I remember yesterday's show, Be Like Mike, right? So it's timely. It's so interesting about this book. But guess what? So Jake Paul made $40 million. Guess how much Mike made? $20 million. Half of what Jake Paul made. Now, why did Mike Tyson, a man that could have amassed millions of dollars just off of the interest of what he could have invested, why would Mike Tyson, at 58 years old, go out and take a fight, right? A boxing fight. Obviously, because there are some financial troubles, in my opinion. People, some have said, across his career, people were in his pockets, right? Across his career, Mike, had done some things. And I'm not going to speak ill about the brother. But in his past, he'll be the first to say that he did not make some of the best decisions, whereas it was more of a poverty internally that produced the spending money on women, drugs, lions and tigers, and these wild safari animals, just this excessive lifestyle, things that cost money but didn't create time, things that withered away and drained his resources, to where, maybe, and I'm sure Mike has a good bit of money, but the type of lifestyle that you live calls for a lot. So you're doing a lot of something for nothing. And I don't understand why somebody with that type of legendary status in their sport has not amassed $1 billion. Actually, I do understand it, and that's what we're speaking about today. But $1 billion at least dollars, helping to build institutions all over the United States of America for people, Black people, whoever, for people, creating opportunity, creating jobs. But because of the internal, habits, the internal self-worth and self-esteem and awareness of self, I'm sure Mike had, court cases, things like that. Mike has spent through hundreds of millions of dollars. So we live in a situation now where, and somebody could say, well, Jake Paul, they took his money. Why is he making half? The reason is because they did good business. They had leverage. And Mike possibly did not know his own leverage. You see what I'm saying? And 20 million sounds good, guys. Don't get me wrong. 20 million for fighting sounds good. But there, in my opinion, there's no reason why the legend Mike Tyson, who was the draw for the fight, was the reason why people wanted to see this fight, did not make the same amount of money. It tells you the position that he's in, both in leverage and also in his life and his financial career. So let's not be that. Let's not be 58 years old having to go work for money, after having amassed, 30 million for a fight in the 90s. Why now do you have to take a $20 million fight at 58 and risk brain damage and risk all these other things? So what habits can you break right now? What habits can you build and replace right now that makes all the something for something greater instead of something for nothing? Right? Why ponder this every time you get a check? Are you putting something up for yourself? And I'm speaking to myself first, y'all. So like this isn't some, off the mountaintop speech. This is I'm in the valley with you, trying to make these habit changes for myself, and trying to create a place to where if my son wants to start his own business, I'll have not only the knowledge to help, but the resources to help, saved and prepared for him. If my daughter wants to start that lemonade stand that her grandmother keeps pushing her to do, I want her to have the freedom to do that without having the worry of having to trade her time to be a corporate citizen, right? That's why I say a corporate citizen, not a citizen of a country, but a corporate citizen, meaning that you are going to have to get up and obey and follow the laws and guidelines of some corporate institution that at the end of the day does not care about you will fire you in a second to create to make their their budgets go black as opposed to red, right? I'm telling you to go black. You go black for yourself. I'm telling myself, go black for yourself, for your family. Build your family businesses. Have institutions that can that makes this something that you trade for. If you're not getting your own time, create the time for the next generation, right? If you are working and trading your time for money and you're not getting more time back, try to make it to where you're putting something up so that time can be taken advantage of by the next generation or the people that you leave behind. Create a legacy. We've said this on the show before that a healthy society is a society where old men plant trees that they will never eat the fruit from. What trees are you planting? And trust me, those trees will be more abundant and probably grow faster than you think if you just plant that seed. If you invest that as opposed to spend that. And I'm like I said, guys, I'm looking at my own habits. I'm looking at my own ways of thinking internally and the way that I see myself and trying to take advantage of what we're learning through this book as well. But I see the patterns. I'm sure many of you do too. But what can we do about it? What actions can we take to not go down the same road that we've seen so many others before us and around us go through, where they're doing something for nothing, where they get large sums of money and then all of a sudden have nothing, where they win court cases or they win these huge checks, whether it be, lottery, disability, anything. And only a few years later, a few months later, be back in the same position. After the high of receipt of those funds, you have to go to the valleys and the lows of having spent all of it and to know the opportunity cost of what you could have done. And now carrying that baggage on to the next financial situation and that baggage to the next financial situation. First off, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the things that you might have done financially that put you in this position, but also accept that the decisions that got you here are the same. If you did differently, the decisions that you make now will get you to a different place. So make different decisions, change your habits, do something different, get up on a different side of the bread, do something, get on the different side of the bed today. Go for a run, do something that you're not used to and change your habits. Get into the order of transforming yourself, of renewing your mind, and start making your something for something greater. Back over
So,
to you.
Brandon, so I'll leave with this from the passage. How much can you accept? I left the word money out. How much blank? You fill it in. How much love? How much grace? Because get this, we're getting all of that from God. How much mercy, favor can you accept? Are you subconsciously living or consciously living? Know the difference. I'm mindful of Anthony Graves. You guys go out and Google Anthony Graves, who was wrongly convicted, I believe, as a teenager. We interviewed him years and years ago, who was later released, right? And started a foundation because he was wrongly convicted of killing 6 people.
Wow.
He had an alibi. But Black men don't have an alibi, even if you got one, right? So I'm mindful of him because during the interview with him, he talked about, his mother who waited years and years and years for her son, right, to come home. And he did. And so they planned this dinner, this celebration for him. And I'm reminded of his words. It was difficult for me to eat off of a plate because for so many years I had a tray. His subconscious mind, his subconscious living took him back, right? His ingrained pattern of eating from that plate, from that tray, kept him from eating good food from family, celebrating his life his release, right? But his beliefs and his Brandon, I don't know why I cannot keep this in mind. His living in the past, his mind was a roadmap, I'll say, to his past, right? Rather than where he was going. Memory of the past kept him wanting the tray. I'm also reminded, so he wasn't able to accept freedom right then. Freedom could be a word. How much freedom can you accept? Right? I'm also reminded of a story I watched, I believe on 60 Minutes. Homeless guy was given $1 million, right? Went, got a hotel room, a fine hotel room, could not sleep in the bed. He slept on the floor. Roadmap of his past, right? So y'all, get out of your past. What is your past keeping you from? And as Brandon said, these passages they've got me thinking and doing things, right? That I should have been doing. I sat down over this weekend while the base was my closet, my space, and things like that, getting ready to get rid of them, right? To give them away. Got clothes with tags on it that I never wore after purchase, right? Imagine what I could have did with that money if it just put it up. Why did I buy it, right? I got 2 of the same jackets. Foolish. Never wore any. Don't even remember buying but one of them. Foolish. I sat down and I found a budget sheet online. And y'all, as I'm going through my account, I'm paying for things that I ain't even using no more. Foolish. Foolish.
Same thing here. I recently did the same thing.
Wrapped up, so distracted.
Same thing.
No more. No more. No more. As I sat in the war room this morning, God dealt with me. As he gave me one more thing, as he dropped another seed in my spirit, he said, I've given you so many jewels. You pick them up, you get excited, and then you put them down. No more, I say. I'm willing to accept. I'm open to accept God's grace, favor, mercy, and his abundance for me and my life. My cup will runneth over and my saucer too, not just for me, but for Brandon, for my grandbabies. And y'all said, I said mine this morning because God has gifted them to me. Certainly I understand that they're not mine, but I understand that they are mine to the degree that I have a responsibility to help them not repeat the generational curses that have gone through my family. They will not on my dime. And if they do, it will be because of their choices, not because we have put them in a state of living subconsciously. They will be free if they so desire, right? So how much, not what, I'll say first, how much can you accept? And what is it can you accept? And if you were granted $1 million today, what would you do with it? What would you buy and why? What would you do with it and why? Right? Because truth be told, it says this survey that was taken, many of the people who came into to money went right back to the same lifestyle after a few years. Because if you don't change, how you do anything is how you will do everything. If you don't change. See, that's why the representative can show up for the new car, keep it clean, can show up for the new guy, the new girl, eat the chicken when they really want the hamburger. But after a while, I don't want that chicken. Right? After a while, I don't want that chicken. I don't want to go see your mama. But when it starts out,
I don't want to go see your mom.
I mean, for real, these are real stories, you know? When I sit with these people, she used to want to do this. She used to want to do that. When I started, she was this. That's because they were starting. That ain't how they were finishing before you. So what makes you think they're going to finish like that because of you now? They're not changing. Just a temporary situation. Shiny new object syndromes. That's why we float from one person to another, one job to another, one situationship, right? We like this. Well, let me take it back to the word. We're on the fence. We're on the fence. And which way we get off depends on a lot of times who's around. Who's around. That's why you can be like this in front of pastor, but get home and be like this in front of the husband. You can cuss his out, but you won't cuss him. You'll hold that tongue in front of the pastor. But at home, I can't hold it, right? Get off the fence, y'all. This is why you can't accept anything, because you haven't first accepted yourself in the realness of yourself, right? You playing with yourself on the fence. You don't know who you are. It's like I said a few days ago. Y'all out here trying to pick a president and it can't even pick a wife or a husband. The right person for you, but you trying to pick a president. Come on now. You ain't willing to accept anything. You ain't open to accept anything. And I said ain't, because that's what you understand. Now, those of you who may be in the conscious living, you are not willing to accept the things that God has given you, planted in you. So I'm going to tell y'all, go be great. Don't settle for something for nothing. Let something be for something, right? All right, Brandon, let's get out of here.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for rocking with us, Mom. I enjoyed that show. I hope you guys got as much from it as I did. I know as I'm sitting here, I have trouble not just becoming an observer and a watcher of the show. So thank you, Mom, for always giving some great insights. And shout out to Dennis Kimbro for writing this amazing book and giving us these things to ponder as we go throughout our day. So y'all, please go do that. Make sure that you go to the YouTube channel. I know a lot of you are on Facebook right now. Do us a favor, if you will. Go to the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up button, and start to and like our other videos and subscribe to the channel. And please turn on those notifications just to help yourself out, to get you here faster in the morning, and we can go ahead and start on with the show. Y'all let us know if there's anything that we can do better about the show, any suggestions that you have. Don't hold any punches, y'all. We want to make this show better, and we're looking to take it up to the next level on next year. So let us know. And also, y'all, I'm looking forward to getting together with y'all, Mom. Let us know when that's going to happen.
Working on that.
All right, cool.
Brandon, and, if I may, let me catch up the comments, because we had Monique come in. I did see that. Okay, let me back up just a little bit. Miss Brenda says, I'm in my growing season. Thank you, Miss Brenda, for answering the question. So the question was, what season are you in? What season? Because make no mistake, you guys, we're either going in a season, coming out of one, or preparing for one. And that's why you have to be willing to accept even the trials and the tribulation, because life pops on us all. Life happens to us, but also for us if you're open, right? If your mind is a map, a road map for your future, then you are willing, right? You're willing and you're accepting of the trials and the tribulations, and you say, God, what is it that you're teaching me here? Right? Make your anthills, turn them into mountains as you climb, and look back and see how far you've come, because as you go and grow forward, things, you don't sweat the small stuff. Don't be offended. You don't sweat the small people, those subconscious living people. Let them go. People you are throwing a rope out to, going out in the water so that they don't drown, are putting themselves back under the water, almost bringing you in the water with them. Stop. Hold people accountable as you hold yourself accountable. Right? People probably think I'm crazy because, y'all, I'm so holding myself accountable in my mess. So if I'm going to do it for me, I'm gonna make sure you do it for me too. How I treat me is how you will treat me, right? Because you will see, oh, she ain't playing no more. No, she ain't lost her mind. Something else is happening. She's growing. God is teaching her, giving her wisdom, not more wisdom, more understanding, more life, more acceptance that his will for me is life and life more abundantly. Whatever abundant means, right? It ain't about money for me. But guess what? My heart is now open for it because I think I've blocked myself from an abundant life of money, right? I'm talking about, I feel blessed, but I'm talking about the millions where I passed by some land and thought a couple of months ago, I'm going to have me acres and acres of land, right? Why? Because I love to have my house there and Brandon's house there, my mom's house on the property, my brother, family. I love that. That we can walk out the door and walk across and there Brandon is with the kids, right? We ain't got to travel. Something happens, we're right there. That's the abundance. That's the acceptance I'm opening my life up for, right? I'm no longer with, oh, if you're rich, you might not get into heaven because richness ain't going to change me, right? So go there. Big Al, Alvin Williams Jr. says, good morning. Big Al Sal, I'll say, all the way from New Orleans. Monique says, good morning. I put out the subconscious living versus the conscious living. So read that, you guys. Trent Williams, can't call it Mike Spaulding, says, good morning, family. Y'all look up Anthony Graves. Read his story. As a matter of fact, find him. We interviewed him on the Butterfly Evolution show. So you can find that on Facebook. As Brandon said, go back, you guys. Because it's going to come a time, I believe, that we're going to probably be going directly to YouTube. I'm kind of getting over the Facebook thing. I don't know. It's just, it seems to be an issue here and there. But so something else. I'm going to ask you guys, share this video. Many of you come here every day. And I'm just going to call it like it is. I see you share all other stuff. I see you share it. Rarely do you get off and share. Why? Because that's how we treat the things. That's how we treat people and things we do and love. But the new people, the new stuff, share. So I'm going to ask you every day, share this on your page. On your page. And that's not much for us to ask. 292 days, right? It's not much. And it should not be anything we have to ask, right? And I'm just going to use her name. Beyonce ain't asking you to share her stuff. And you share it. Don't know her. Can't probably even touch her. Can't even get to her. But I'm just showing you how the mind does to us. Our memory of the past. You know, new things, new people are different for us. I'm going to read this, Brandon, and we can get on out of here. It just made me think of something. You got something to say?
Nope, just that we wearing the same color again this morning.
Oh my goodness.
Out of all the colors.
Out of all the colors. I know.
Out of all the colors.
This is my new shirt, Brandon, my the India Fest.
Oh, okay.
I was so blessed by the what's the word? The modesty of the women, y'all. So I bought
Ain't nothing better.
I bought some shirts that from there that I love. And so as I get rid of my stuff, you know, as I get rid of the things that I no longer want, but no longer want to wear. So this is I wish you could see the whole thing. This is one of my modesty shirts that I bought for myself. So, which is a new thing too. Like I wouldn't usually buy much for myself. I spent $110 on 8 shirts. Somebody might say, girl, I spent that on a shirt. Nope. Not me.
Well, let me tell you.
I got a good deal.
Let me tell you about my shirt. It was this shirt's the first one after I got out the shower. I looked in the drawer, and it was the first one right there. As soon as I picked it up, I didn't even know what color it was. I was just getting out the shower and wanted to get to my prayer. So I got it out. I was like, that looked like a good shirt. I didn't even know what color it was until
Here
I
we
got on the
are
show.
in our green. So
I didn't even know what color it was.
right, we're good. We're in our season,
There
right?
we go.
We're in that season. New people in your life don't require you to turn the mirror inward. In this season, we are a member on the opposing team. You're a member of the opposing team, but we huddle up and play on the other team. Choose ye this day what team you're on, right? You don't go on the football field and play basketball, right? I asked this question a while back, like what's the most important, who's the most important player on the football team? Nobody said the center. I've watched a few games here late where the center, I don't remember which game it was, the center didn't quite get the ball off right? So to me, it is the center. Center your life in the midst of God and let Him guide you through and in your seasons, right? And don't get so caught up on new things and new people, right? Let's do a new thing with the same God who never changes. So let's do a new thing in this season, all right? So remember that. Don't just be the representative all the time in your life. Let's represent who we really are. Turn that mirror inward, you guys. All right, Brandon, let's get us out of
All
here.
right, y'all. We out here for real. Before we get to talking again, we
I'm
out
not
of
going to
here.
say another word.
Y'all take care, man. We love y'all so much. Do what we asked you to do earlier. Like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications if you can. Thumbs up the YouTube channel. And make sure that you share this with someone and take our affirmation of the day and run with it. Our title, again, was Something for Nothing. And T.M. Alexander, the entrepreneur, said, poor is the man who only possesses money. Our affirmation, today I will develop a consciousness of wealth, abundance, and prosperity. I realize that believing is half the battle. Realize that believing is half the battle, and the other part is putting it into action. Y'all go out there, be great, feed them ducks, and we'll see you next time on In This Season Podcast, day 293. Take care. Peace.
Going out with it, Brandon? We got it. Whoa.
All right, take care, man. I love you. Y'all take care.